Guys, we're going to start taking audience questions soon. Here in the center aisle, there's a mic. I'm going to start lining up. Marc, I just want to ask, what did you think, when you heard they were doing this new version of V and the fact that this continues to resonate so much?
I tell you, it's one of the greatest feelings that an actor or any of us in this industry can have, is to know that something that you had a hand in early on has had another life and goes on to mean something meaningful to other generations. It's a great thing. And so the history that we talk about in the show, which is the history of people trying to save their own culture and their own civilization galactically, is something that we all carry and we all bring generation to generation in the entertainment of the event itself. It's a kind of a nice, I'm reaching there a bit, but that's how it feels.
Guys, we'll start with audience questions. Do you want to ask, please make it a question, not a comment. No marriage proposals, photo requests, etc., etc. Get the first audience question, please.
We already married.
Hi. My question is for Elizabeth. Your recent SVU Law and Order guest spot was amazing. How did you get into such an intense, dramatic role as a character? That was really amazing work.
Thank you. I really appreciate that you said that. Thank you. I did some research and then just tried to be filled with honor. I tried to approach it with as much honor as possible. But I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Next question, please.
Hi, this is Ken from Wormhole Writers. We do a lot of reporting on V-Series. Love what you do, Mr. Rosenbaum. The question is, you put out a comment about a month ago that at least 2 or 3 characters would die. We saw 3 die. In order to meet budget to get a season 3, is there any more potential? There's a lot of talk about other characters, except Erica and Marc, not being in season 3.
Thank you. You said that.
No, I mean, the thing is, when it comes to making budget cuts to do a show, you don't make cuts for the purpose of making cuts. You look at what is best. What's best for the show, and what's best for the show, if that means certain actors or characters that people love and characters that are important to the show, you don't just cut them. What you try to do is figure out a way, how do we make the same show for a little bit less? And the reality of it is as shows are, I'll give you an example of an area where over the course of time the show gets less expensive is in the visual effects. The visual effects are incredibly expensive to make in the beginning, but once you've actually built those virtual assets, they can be reused at a much cheaper cost. You can still make them, so for instance, every time you just want to go up and see the mothership, where it cost me $5,000 for every episode just to show a shot of the mothership, now we own those and we don't have to pay, you don't have to pay as much. So there are lots of ways to make the show come in on budget. I don't have any plans of killing any more characters at this point. I mean, I think that in the season 3, introducing more characters, things will change. But in terms of actors not making the next cut, absolutely not. I mean, there are no plans for that at all. I mean, we already sort of have a good sense of how we'll make the show in the pattern that we need it to be made in.
Next question, please.
There's always a bigger and badder species out there. So, I'm not saying that we would go down this road, but there's a version where, who knows, you might need the visitor's help because someone worse is coming. But that's jumping ahead to much later seasons. But
Season 6 is going to rock.
That's more like season 6, exactly.
Next question, please.
I wanted to say, just make a quick comment on what Scott just said, is that one of the things that's amazing about this new version of V that Scott is envisaging is it's like a jigsaw puzzle, except that every piece of the jigsaw puzzle in itself is as interesting as the whole. I mean, I think that description just then of what might genetically be a possibility for different species in the universe and how they might be interplaying one against the other is certainly worth a series in itself. Don't you think?
Elizabeth, we got so many questions on the Erica's love life thing that I got to ask, because it was asked by some people, do you have a preference for her between Hobbs and Jack?
Sawyer!
I'll take Sawyer out of the equation.
Somebody turn on the air conditioner.
Any thoughts, Erica?
I don't have a preference. However, I love those guys. Where do you go?
Next question, please.
I just want to say you guys are really awesome. You guys do really great jobs, first of all. And my question is for Mark. What was it like coming back to the new series, and like what was it like working on the new series as opposed to the old series?
You know, it was the most exciting thing to come back to be a part of. I have to tell you, I was just thrilled. It was, look, I wanted to play this game since back in the 80s. That's when I was playing it. Not my 80s, the 80s. I didn't want it to be in the 80s when I came back. So it was a great thing. I loved it. I had a great time, and everybody was very welcoming to me. But I have to say, I was sitting at home saying, when?
Thank you. And Donovan?
Next question, please.
This is a question for Scott. One thing I've always loved when an actor can convey a lot just with the look on their face. So as for the alien queen, Anna, I think she's got the best killer smile on TV right now. I was just wondering if they particularly looked for that sort of thing when they were casting the role.
Well, I mean, I can answer your question this way. Whenever I tone a director for a show, I always tell them that the story is in between the lines, which basically means you have to it's the acting in between the lines. It's the moments in between the dialogue that convey the meaning, convey the emotion, and the best actors are able to do that. And you know, I'm very blessed that I have an ensemble of actors who are great at that. And you know, Morena, because hers is even a little trickier because, especially in the very beginning, she's not allowed to show emotion. First she had no emotion, but then she started to feel emotion and she had to hide it. At the same time, she has to convey what's going on inside her to an audience, and it's a difficult thing to do. I mean, she does great with it, and you know, it's funny because she's done a lot of smiling, but her smiling days are going to be over soon. These two are going to.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I think it's amazing. That smile is one of the creepiest, sexiest, oddest things I've ever seen. I agree.
Here's a reader email question for you, Scott. Do the male bees have tails? Since we haven't
No, the male bees do not have tails.
Do they have a stinger?
They don't have a stinger. In my world, ladies, my world view is that women are the most powerful, and should be, and that the world would be a lot better place if they were our leaders. So I've developed this show so that all the human females will be the most powerful. I don't mean just physically, but you know, they'll be the most rogue, and the female visitors are sort of the alpha dogs. Yeah, but that's just my own weird gender politics thing, which I have. Yeah, exactly.
Next question, please.
This will be the last question.
I was a huge fan of the original, and I was so happy when the new version came out. And Elizabeth, first of all, I want to acknowledge you for your body of work. You've always played strong, beautiful, independent characters, and you're such an inspiration to so many girls and women. And so, thank you for all your body of work. And the one movie that you've done that no one's mentioned yet is Gia, which you were amazing in Gia. Even as a gay man, I appreciated your performance in Gia. But my question is from Mark. Just from the original to now, the special effects, what's been the main difference as far as the level of special effects in the original to the current version?
Well, the difference between effects then and now is the difference between society then and now. It's a whole history, which is what I was trying to touch on, maybe not too articulately on a little earlier, which is that the whole evolution of what you're able to do, how you're able to conceive of an idea wherein people are genetically selecting bits and pieces from around the universe and coming up with hybrid beings that carry on a philosophy, or I don't know what you'd call it, a universal view that is so far beyond the ken that we're now considering every day when we go out on the streets. Partly that's his imagination, but it's partly what technology allows you to imagine these days. And so there's an interesting melding of the real and the fanciful into the possibility of what could be. And so I think that the difference that I see from the early days to now is that whatever we imagined then has been augmented and carried forward in a way that surprises even its own creator today.